All right, welcome back to Questing Beast. I'm Ben, and today we are taking a look at Hex Kit, which is a program for your computer that lets you design hex maps if you're going to do a hex crawl across a landscape in an old school or even in a new school role-playing game. So this program was sent to me by its creator, Cecil Howe, to take a look at, and I've been very impressed with it. And I think it really stands out from the number of programs out there that let you design hex maps, mostly in two areas. First of all, it's beautiful looking, and I'm going to show you what I mean by that in just a minute once we start building a map. And secondly, it's very easy to use. There's tons of options, but it doesn't take a lot of brain power to figure out how to make awesome looking maps. So let's take a look at some of the basic features here. So you can create your own hex map here. As you can see, you can make it as big or as small as you want. You can just set that up when you create your file. I just made it 12 by 12 because that fills my screen here. It's big enough for me. Over here we have our different tile sets. Now, when you buy the game, or when you buy this program rather, it's arguably not really a game, it comes with a classic tile set, and that is right here. So these black and white hexes. But there's also other ones you can get: Traveling Through Dangerous Scenery, Fantasyland, and Fantasyland Utilities, and these are add-ons. However, you can buy them all as one big bundle and get them all at once. And I believe over the next couple days, there's going to be a sale where you can get them all at once for cheap. So definitely check out that if you feel like getting into Hex Kit, because it'll be the best way to get it. Now, some of the things that I really like about it are, first of all, check this out. So if I go up here, I can generate a random map, which is a great starting point, because that way you have something down there and then you can just tweak it as you go. So for example, I'm going to generate an islands, mesas, swamps, tundras, or wastes. I've tried these all out. Swamps doesn't seem to work for me. I'm not sure why. Maybe it's a bug, but all the other ones seem to work just fine. So for example, tundra, boom. And I have a basic map all designed for me, randomized, and I can just fill it in or alter it as I please. Now, the first thing you might notice is the look of this thing. It's incredibly colorful and vibrant. And one of the reasons for the whole look is that every single one of these different tiles were hand-drawn on like physical paper by Cecil when he was creating this. Or Cecil? Sorry, I'm probably mispronouncing your name. But they look absolutely beautiful and they're incredibly striking. There's also thousands of these. There's an enormous number of different types of hexes that can be rotated and flipped, and they just look so good. So let's go over to the different types of hexes that you can use here. So for example, Fantasyland. This gives me a number of different types. And each of these has things inside it. So for example, coniferous forests, I think that's what we have over here on the map already. Now I can go into it and I can choose from a huge number of different types of hexes, all of which have been hand drawn, as I noted before. Or, this is more interesting, you can just click on the category and then it will automatically randomly pick ones from that category for you. So I can start clicking on the screen and it will start filling them in with random hexes. I want to expand that coniferous forest. There I go. Easy. There's tiles for coastlines. You can create magical crystals, dead forests, deserts. It has everything you might need and more, including a lot of stuff I wouldn't have thought of. So a bog, let's create some bogs here. I like keeping it on random just because it saves me from having to go through and pick them individually. You can just move your mouse around, you just click and you paint, and there you go. Easy. Now, a cool thing is that there are different layers that you can add. So for example, I can add another layer over here. Let's just call it, layer A. And because some of these tiles have transparency. So icons, for example. Here we have like a wall representing maybe a wizard tower or towers or whatever landmarks you might put on the map. And I might choose that and I can just plop it down because I'm doing it on the top layer that I've set up there, and it just puts it over the stuff that's already there, right? Easily creating my own effects. I have a whole bunch of wizard towers there. You can just Control Z and erase those. It's almost like a kid's toy. Like you have those old programs that you grew up using where it was like on the old PCs where it was like a paint program for kids and everything was just point and click. It's like that. So it's incredibly quick and easy. It's like you're just putting stamps down on a map, and you can layer them or arrange them however you want. So let's look at a couple other interesting features. You got rivers. So you have little pieces of rivers, and these you have to be a little more careful with. You can't just randomly slap them down because they won't line up properly. You do have to arrange them how you want them to be arranged. So I'm still going to keep it on the top layer. So I can plop that down so it's coming out of there. And then maybe I want it to, go that way, and then move down there, and then go this way. And I can right click and it automatically rotates them, as you can see there. So that's really useful. You don't have to click on other utilities. You can just right click. Other options. Let's go to Fantasyland Utilities. So you got roads that you can add in just to layer on top of your map, right? And you can just rotate them, curve them, do whatever you want. We also have things like scale markers that you can put in, and fog of war, and just solid colors. Let's move up to traveling through dangerous scenery. So some of these are really interesting because they goes beyond just your standard hex map. For example, there's a city kit with filler, ones with roads, bits with outskirts of the city, and walls. So obviously you wouldn't use this on top of a hex map normally. You would probably create your own hex map just for the city, but it allows you to design that if you so chose, right? And it just looks like that. But then you can start adding, roads going through it, and so on. Or maybe add walls on the outside of it. You probably have to create another layer, and then you can layer a wall over it. Let's look at some of the other stuff. New icons, all sorts of places, a huge number of different icons. And we have snow, we have splinters, we have fire, we have a haunted forest, we have hill trees, we have secret veils. And they're all incredibly colorful and easy to recognize from far away, not just because of the symbol, but because of the color and the texture that is put down on the actual hex. So very impressive. One of the cool things about this is that you can just go to icons, for example, and once you have your hex map, just set it on random, right? Just click on the category, and you just start clicking around and just layering stuff over what you got there. And it'll just pick random types of locations. And then you've basically randomly generated a hex crawl with interesting features all over the place. And you just have to label them. And by the way, labeling is something that you're able to do. There is a label button right up here. And you can just click on hex you want to label. For example, that one. And you could label it. Let's call it tower. Just click show label. And there you go. It just shows up. You can change the different types of font. You can change how big it is. You can even add hover over text that goes into more detail about what that thing is. There are just so many features here that are so easy to use and pretty invariably create something that is really beautiful, which is something that you can't say for pretty much any other hex map maker that I've seen. There's a lot of free ones out there, but they're usually very bare bones or somewhat confusing or kind of ugly. And this manages to get rid of all that. You can easily export things as PNGs. You can easily add your own hexes, right? You just add your own image files and turn them into your own hexes. That's easy to do. Although I do really like the ones that it came with and the add-ons that you would buy to add on to it. I believe that there's also a sci-fi version, like a Spaceland version of it in production. So I'm really looking forward to that. Now, one other thing I wanted to talk about was the fact that it has, let me see if I can find it again. There are dungeon tiles that allow you to actually design a dungeon. Paper dungeon. Perfect. So we got your normal floors, and you have all sorts of different features that you can plop down that you would put on the floor. But the most important thing is that you have all of these different types of walls. You got your stone walls, or you got your rough stone walls for caves. Let's do the more finished stone walls of a typical dungeon. And you can use these. You know what? Let's wipe out this map and start a new one. Create new. Let's make it small. Go. There we go. So then you can just start plopping these down and start creating your dungeon. Let's maybe put that there. Let's make it end there. And then that can branch off that way. Let's delete this one here. And let's connect that up like that. So you can create some very unusually shaped dungeons. It doesn't have to be straight corridors and squares like you see in a lot of dungeon generators. You actually have a lot of opportunities to mix things up a little bit. All right, so that all works out, but I can have a one going off that way. So let's connect it up like that, right? Or you can rotate things around very easily. And you can plop down other stuff on the floor. Let's make things more bloody. There you go, the battle took place there. and so on. So you can make some really cool looking dungeons that'll really impress your players, and they'll think that you're an amazing artist because it looks all hand drawn, because it is. So all in all, this is one of the coolest digital utilities I've seen for old school games, and there really aren't very many of them. But this thing really stands out both in its beauty, in its ease of use, and all of the awesome things that you can do with it. So I strongly recommend Hex Kit. If you want to check it out yourself, I'll put links down in the description below to where you can get the bundle. If you're clicking on this early enough, you're probably going to get the Christmas sale as well. So that'll be awesome. And subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more videos like this one. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you guys later.